Our session goal for this topic, again, reels and stories is what we're going to be talking about. So we're focusing obviously primarily on Instagram. A lot of this can be translated directly to Facebook since the two are together under Meta. You can share your reels to Facebook as well as stories, but mostly you'll hear me talking about Instagram and using Instagram examples. So we're going to talk about what's working right now in stories and reels, trends and strategy wise, because it is something that changes a lot. We did a reels workshop, I think, earlier in the year, and I had so much new information to add just in reels because they are changing quite often. How to create reels and stories that both boost visibility and credibility, two things that we obviously want to do if we're going to be marketing on social media, trying to target our ideal clients. Um, how we're going to talk about how the two content types work together and how why I love using both of them um, to complement one another. Of course, we want to get seen by the right audience, so we're going to cover just how to do that with these two content types. And a lot of that involves personal branding, and we're going to talk about what is working right now. And a lot of that is authenticity, relatability. Those are just very effective quote strategies when it comes to personal branding. It should be easy, right? Just have to be you. So curious, obviously I'm not in person, so I can't really pull the audience here, but would love to know if you just drop in the chat if you are currently using stories or reels or both to increase your visibility of your business, or if you're here just kind of starting from scratch and want to start using these two things. I would love to know. I would love to hear and just kind of poll the audience to see where everyone's at going into this. All right. So I'm going to start with a quick refresher of what the two content types are, stories and reels, and then kind of some baseline strategies, I'll call it, for how often to post, etc. So, Instagram stories, if you pull up Instagram and you look at your feed, people that you follow that have posted to stories will show up, their little circles with their profile picture will show up at the very top of your feed. And if they've posted to their stories, it will have the Instagram colors circling their photo. And that means that they have a live story that you haven't watched yet. They may have multiple stories. And a lot of people that get on Instagram spend a lot of time in that stories feed because Instagram has strategically made it easily accessible. It's right there at the top. So the instinct is just to kind of start clicking through those stories. They are quick. You can click through, swipe through very quickly to kind of ingest the type of content that you're looking for, that you're wanting. They're short-lived, so they only last for 24 hours and then they disappear unless you want them to live longer, in which case we'll talk about highlights on your feed. But because they're so short-lived and informal, I think it's a lot easier for people to just post what they're doing right now, be a little bit more authentic and not so worried about everything being perfectly curated, everything being put together perfectly. So it's sort of an easy entry point. If you're just getting comfortable with Instagram, it's a great place, I think, to start. And primarily, your existing followers are going to see this content. So it's a great way to kind of keep in touch with them, if you will, nurture those existing followers. And then highlights, as I mentioned, are something that can live on your profile between your bio, where everything is described about you, and your actual feed, where your posts live. And those highlights can be things like what it's like to work with you, a new listing that you may have. Each individual highlight can be about an individual topic. And that's a great place to direct people for things like that. If they want to learn about a specific topic, learn about a specific listing, learn about you specifically, you can direct them to those highlights on your profile. And then Reels have a much broader reach. So Reels are going to serve the purpose of reaching new followers, allowing new people to discover you. It's great for audience growth. There is an entirely separate Reels tab from just people's normal feed that they can click on and watch Reels from people who they don't follow. You have a great chance of showing up in people's feeds as suggested content that they may want to see if it's about a topic that the algorithm feels that they're interested in. So it gives you a lot more opportunity to get in front of new people. So when it comes to stories and how often you should be posting them, don't scream at me when you read the 3 to 5 per day. I know if you're starting from nothing, it sounds like insanity. You can't possibly have 3 to 5 stories to post every single day. But they are just meant to be kind of things that are already in your camera roll or things that you're doing at the moment. And I don't mean you have to post it every few hours throughout your day, but you could snap a picture of what you're doing, take a few second video of what you're doing. And when you sit down in the evening and have a couple minutes or set aside a couple minutes for this specifically, that's when you kind of upload a couple of stories from throughout your day and talk about what you're doing. Because honestly, that's a great place to start with stories. Just what are you doing? What are you doing in your business? What are you doing in personal life that you're comfortable sharing, of course? And just know that stories are where people want a peek inside your day to day. They want to see what's going on in your day to day life and your day to day business. People are nosy. It's not, they want to know who they're going to be working with. So it's just a great way to get people to know you on a level that you're comfortable with. I never ever advise that people go beyond their comfort level when it comes to, you don't have to air your dirty laundry on social media. You don't have to share your kids' faces. You don't have to share anything that's personal or private, but just your cup of coffee that morning, what your Starbucks order is, what you're doing, what your to-do list is for the day. I honestly have a lot of clients who just get comfortable with stories, posting one story a day that is their to-do list. It's a quick snap of their desk, maybe their laptop and their coffee on their desk, and then they type out their to-do list. And people love that because they are reminded, first and foremost, of what you do. If you're not posting that, they don't remember. So I hope the 3 to 5 doesn't intimidate you too much. If you can only start with one story a day, then just do that. Because again, stories live for 24 hours. So if you're posting one every 24 hours, at least Monday through Friday, then you are consistently staying in that stories feed for people to see you. And then reels for our clients, 2 to 4 per week is our average. Um, we try to be on the higher end of that and then mix in some carousel posts as well. Carousel posts being the kind that have more than one image or more than one graphic so that someone has to swipe to see all of the photos or all of the graphics. And those reels, um, obviously, we want to focus on being kind of short and sweet to the point, purposeful, engaging, of course. The more engagement you get, the more eyes are going to get on your content, the more people are going to see your reels. So, if I had talked to you about reels a few years ago, when they were first gaining popularity back in, say, 2020, and the first few years that they were out, value-based was really what you wanted to achieve in order to get more followers, get more eyes on your content. You wanted to give people a reason to follow you, kind of showing your value. And that has shifted a lot, to the point where if you are sharing those value educational tips, we'll talk more in detail about that, but they just look a little bit different now. And really, what people are craving on social media now is more authenticity, relatability. How can you make people feel seen or heard with your content? And just knowing what people need to connect the dots and to feel connection to you, essentially. Um, and relating that to real estate specifically, you know what it's like to be in your client's shoes, whether they're buying or selling. How can you speak to them, meet them exactly where they are now, and speak to them about this process and what it's going to be like and what it's like to work with you specifically? and how you can help overcome these obstacles that they're probably already worried about. That's the type of content that is doing well versus overly produced, overly scripted content, which should be a sigh of relief for us, right? Because we just have to be ourselves. We can just pop on, give someone a comforting, relatable message and post it and not worry so much about making it perfect. So keep it simple. Okay. I'm hoping all my links work. And I have no idea how loud things are going to play. So bear with me there. But I'm just going to show a couple of examples. These are mostly trendy. Some are a little more on the strategic end, but I just want to show you some examples of good reels. Um, and then I want this to kind of pose the question for you. If you're currently posting reels, are you doing too much promotion? Are you doing too much overly polished, overly perfect type videos? Could you bring it down a little bit to being more authentic, just more relatable?
Oh, this is you right here. It don't smell like roaches in here or nothing. This is so nice. And look at that, girl.
Okay, so the example that I wanted to talk about with this one, obviously, this is a trending sound. He did a funny voiceover. Some of you might be rolling your eyes at that, like, I'm not doing that. That's not my personal brand, and that's fine. But for those of you that are willing to try something like this, I just wanted to show the demonstration here of how a simple walkthrough reel where they show different aspects of the home. They explained different aspects, um, in their description on each little clip. You could do that in different ways, but the way they made this kind of funny with the voiceover he did really grabbed attention in a way that just doing simple B-roll describing the property might people might be more inclined to just scroll past. So, voiceovers, it's not a make or break that you have to do it, but it is something to consider that gets more eyes on your content. And that's always the goal, right? Here's another one. Okay, so a common hook in this case would be something more like 3 reasons to use me as your realtor, and then list the 3 reasons. People have seen that type of hook, that type of content so much that I think something like this, where you do a twist on it, the opposite, will be more people will be more likely to pause and see what you have to say. Reasons not to use me as your realtor. And in this one, it's a little bit less pressure, I feel, to create. She didn't have to do any dance, she didn't have to do any voiceover. She just had the sticky note. Um, you could hold a sign that says none, things like that. Um, just a few seconds of your time to put this together and add the text, and you're done. And so we want to look at those common hooks that we see a lot and think about ways that we can put twists on them like this. That's just one example. Okay, this one is, I'll play it. Wait, oops. Took us into Instagram, that's fine. Okay, so this is a very common hook. Hold on a second. Get back into my groove here. And there's a couple different versions of it that you could use. So she used the not to be dramatic that I've seen a lot of, not to be dramatic, but, and then you can insert something that is controversial or borderline controversial in your industry that not a lot of people think about when it comes to real estate, that kind of thing. Or I don't know who needs to hear this. That's another twist on that. I wish more people knew, or nobody talks about. And then insert the topic that you want to talk about. And that could be, there's a wide variety of things that could be. But these are 4 hooks that I would just keep in your back pocket, because if you're stuck on what to post, or you just want to add these into your rotation, you really can't go wrong with these, to to get that stop of the scroll and get people to read what you have to say. Those are always solid options. Okay. Oh my goodness. I guess we're clicking on it. Okay, so this is just all the way down. Okay, so just some simple B-roll here of her walking out of the door. So again, nothing that you have to script or rehearse or memorize. It is simply setting up a tripod and filming yourself walking out of a house or having someone film a couple seconds of B-roll for you. And then the hook that she has here. So obviously she put the content itself into the caption, listed the 10 things in the caption. But she didn't just say, here's the things I would never do in my home. Um, she added her credibility as well, which I want you to take note of when you're making hooks for your reels. The more specific that you can be, the better. So she added just that little, I mean, it's really simple after working in real estate for 14 years. So instead of just 10 things I would never do to my home, what gives you the credibility and the authority to be telling your audience these things? Like, why should they listen to you essentially? It doesn't have to be an impressive number of years. It can just be as a realtor in central Indiana, or you can insert as a realtor in central Indiana who closes 40 homes a year, or whatever that is for you. Um, and I like how instead of three things I would do to my home this fall for home maintenance or whatever, it's 10 things I would never do. And I think that that gives people a little more interest because they're tired of hearing like, oh yeah, okay, here's the list of things I have to do to prep my home. What should I not be doing? You know, it's just again, a little bit more of a twist to make it slightly more interesting. And now let me try to not mess this up as I get back in here. Okay. I have to do it again because I have more, more examples. Okay. Okay. So I love this example. I'm not sure if you could read all that text because it was pretty small, but it says when you can't decide between country life and city life. So, okay, well, we're going to watch it again. Um, So you move to the triangle, whether you're in the mood for wineries, farm life, or fine dining. And it shows in the, so it's describing the location in the background. It's showing these few second clips of the place. And I think that's such a great example for especially Indiana real estate. You can have it both ways in a lot of places that you live. So this was very specific, but this is overall just an example of showing kind of a local spotlight, showing the area that you know and love and that you sell. Just these small clips, you probably already have them in your camera roll, or it would be easy to do on just an outing to the farmer's market or a concert or whatever you're doing on the weekend, film short clips of it, put it together and show people where you work and where you sell and why you know the area. So that's why I love that example specifically. It's also great for shares and reach. People that also love the area, that live in the area, sharing it will get more eyes on your content always. Let's see if this one is going to work at all.
Do you know something?
Do you know something?
I might know something.
I might know something too.
What's the thing you know?
Oh no, I can't tell you, and you tell me what you know.
I can't tell you what I know.
Well, then I can't tell you what I know.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so I, of course, wanted to give an example like this for those of you that are like, I am not showing my face in anything. I would fight you on that because you really need to, especially in real estate, especially in this industry, people want to connect with you. But if you're not feeling it that day and you still need to get a post up, something faceless like this that is has humor in it that is still likely to be shared. This one is obviously geared more towards other agents, like you're just showing relatability to other agents and kind of showing what it's like to be in your industry versus speaking to clients specifically. But I think they could still get a laugh out of it. And you can make something like this in CapCut. For one example, they have these, I guess we call them CapCut meme reels. I don't know if that's the official name, but it has all these different memes that you can put over your own video or your own photo to make content, um, and put your own text on it, export it directly to Instagram. So again, I included this example so you know you don't always have to show your face. You can mix it up with funny stuff like that. So this, I've mentioned, I put a little bit on, talked a little bit about this already, but the strategy shifts that we're seeing with Reels right now. Raw, casual, conversational Reels. So again, we don't have to spend hours and hours editing. Thank goodness. We should all be happy about this. So what used to be something that you could just pop in stories and talk for a few seconds about a topic, maybe 30 seconds, you can now turn those into reels. And a lot of people are. Like if something does well in their stories, they'll just turn it into a reel. Add some closed captions, always add closed captions. Most people listen or scroll with the sound off, so that they can read what you're saying. And just make it conversational. Pick a topic that you're really fired up about right now, something that you're working through with a client right now that you think other people could relate to or need to hear about because it could happen to them, like that kind of stuff. Just get on the camera, talk, and post it. It does not have to be perfect. And then documenting. So, again, we talked about this with stories, but just little clips of B-roll throughout your day, or if you go do something locally, remembering consciously to take a few little clips and piecing them together for a reel versus going somewhere and staging this whole production. Quick and easy, just your day to day. And then if you are going to do those value-based topics that we talked about, quick tips is where it's at right now because everyone has very short attention spans. So do not go into, a master class on your reels. You just want to give one tip. I always give this example, but instead of 7 fall home maintenance tips, just get on there and talk about one thing that you're doing at your house this weekend as a realtor in Central Indiana who knows the value of maintaining your home. That was long, but you know what I mean. Be specific, show your authority, and give them one bite-sized thing that they can actionably do this weekend. Okay, so some content ideas to again increase visibility and credibility because that is ultimately always the goal if we're going to spend time posting content on social media. Our goal here is for your brand to be so identifiable to your audience that at a glance, they'll see something in their feed and get in the habit of just knowing, oh, that's so and so, because they post consistently, because they have the same look and feel and personality in all of their content. And they're instantly reminded of you, what you do, how you can help them. So these are three sort of like content pillar-ish, like topics that you could either focus on one specifically in your content and just be that person for that type of content. Or if that sounds boring to you, rotate through the three types. But if you're staring at a blank screen and you have no idea what content to post, these are three that you can always come back to and kind of get the ideas rolling, get you started. Or you could just cycle through each week, post one post about each thing. So the first being that community focus expert. So if you're always going out and doing things in the community or like I said, visiting local coffee shops or going to concerts or going to the farmers market or festivals, fairs, whatever, if that is something that you spend a lot of time doing, then start documenting and posting about it. I mean, that would be easy if you're already out and about. Local highlights, neighborhood spotlights. If you sell your neighborhood and that is like your spot, you need to be posting about that so that more people know you're the expert on what that neighborhood, that community, whatever it may be. You could be that community focused expert. That could be your content. If you want to also mix in some of that education oriented topics, then weekly market updates, maybe more your style, or those bite-sized buyer seller tips, educational reels. Again, if that is your thing and you like to educate, and let me just tell you, if you do, don't assume people know everything because it is easier than you think to create the educational content just because you do it every day. You assume everyone knows what an FHA loan is, but they don't. And most people haven't, aren't buying and selling frequently. So they need to be reminded. So the most basic things can be turned into educational reels, and you can capitalize on that. And then the third type is that relatable personal storyteller. So if you are very empathetic, which I mean, you're in real estate, so you probably are, and you can turn those personal stories of, like, say, your personal experience in buying or selling, or clients that you've been working with, their stories, obviously without giving away client information, but you can, change names, change locations, dates, that type of thing to tell these stories of how you overcame obstacles or obstacles that were avoided because they had your expertise in their corner. Like that type of stuff. Sometimes it's going to feel like you are gloating, but I mean, a win is a win. So talk about your wins, talk about those, talk about how you help people, talk about what you do. Otherwise, people aren't going to know. So personal stories, client transformations, those are all easy ways that you can just relate to your audience. And then shifting to story content ideas. So I know the stories can feel overwhelming if you're stuck on that 3 to 5 a day, and I don't want that to be the case. But if you could just think about one story idea that you could realistically start doing every day, every other day, I just want you to start so that you see it's not so bad and get comfortable doing it if you're not already. So interactive and conversational is the best for stories because the purpose is to get some engagement. Just like you want people to comment on your posts or comment on your reels to increase your reach. If people are engaging with your stories, they are more likely to see other content that you post. So we want to start some conversations. And that's easy to do with some of the engagement features that are on stories. So when you're posting your stories, you have the capability to add a poll. It's super easy. You click poll, you add your question, you add the options for them to choose from. Maybe you want help deciding on, you're staging a property and want help deciding between two different lampshades. It could be anything throughout your day. Q&A sessions, and this could be a mix of business and personal. And that's what I love about it. I mean, you could say, we're trying to decide between visiting these two parks in Hamilton County. Have you been to this one? Those type of things, people love to share their experiences, share their expertise in certain areas. So getting people involved in your stories, your day to day, you're going to see a lot of good come out of that, a lot of good conversations. Getting people in your DMs is what we want. And then of course, we've talked about this already a lot, daily behind the scenes. So just showing what you're up to, open houses, appointments, walking into the office, just showing that you're actively working, honestly. And tagging and collaborations are another great one. So if you're going to work at a coffee shop this morning and you post a quick little story of your drink or your laptop and tag the coffee shop, and then they reshare it to their stories. And let's say they have 3,000 followers, then their 3,000 followers have the chance to see your profile, your page, because your story is now on their stories. So I give that simple example because it is so huge for your reach if you can tag other people. And of course, I don't want you to do that with the expectation that they're going to share it, but it can't hurt. And if they do, then yeah, your reach can blow up. So I don't know if you're familiar with any local influencers, but there's some local, oh, in my phase of life, it's all like mom influencers that I follow that are local, but those types of pages for me, if I go somewhere that they recommended or something like that, tag them in the stories, and then there's a chance that they will share it to their followers. Businesses that you're working with. So that could be other realtors that you have a deal with. It could be vendors who are like the home inspector. You go to inspection day with your clients, tag the home inspector, or um, other like home service related vendors that you love that are likely to share their post to their followers, which are likely homeowners. Any way you can incorporate that to expand your reach. And then more people are going to find your page, more people are going to find your content that you work so hard on. So that know, like, and trust factor is the purpose there. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning, I love to combine stories and reels so that they complement each other so that the efforts pay off even more. So I already gave this example. If you hop in your stories and just briefly talk about something for 30 to 60 seconds, and you get a lot of good feedback, a lot of people messaging or liking or just replying to your stories, relating to it, that's a signal to save it into a more lasting piece of content where it lives on your feed and turn it into a reel. Save it to your highlights. If you get that high engagement on stories, it's signaling that it would be likely a successful reel. And that's simple to do just by saving your story that you've already created to your camera roll and then uploading it as a reel. It could not be easier. And then same thing with reels to stories. So the most basic that I always want you to do is if you create and post a reel, then you can share it to your stories so that people can go click on that reel, get to that reel specifically, engage with it, get to your profile easily, see what other type of content you have or how to reach you, how to contact you, etc. Um, and that gives you the opportunity to add things to the reel, like those interactive stories, questions, getting their opinion, yes or no, on the topic that can boost those story interactions and then get more attention in turn to that reel that you spent so much time on. We want more eyes on it. Okay, so here's one specific example of that to do it in kind of a strategic way. So you create a reel about local neighborhoods and say that one that you know really well, your neighborhood. And then you share it to your reels and then you share a couple, or I'm sorry, share it to your stories and then share a couple more stories after that, diving into more specific details, questions, FAQs that people often have about that community to really show I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. And it could be stuff that's already in the caption of the reel, and you just take to stories to get those, get that series posted, get more um, people intrigued about the topic. And then that, of course, keeps your content similar. So it's not bouncing around to all kinds of different topics and ideas. Keep it cohesive and it keeps your followers in multiple places. So if you're hanging out in both their feed and their stories, then you have those multiple touch points because you're not going to reach everyone on your stories. So having that other opportunity for people to find you in Reels it just makes sense. So now, how do we get the right people to even see our content? That's the big one because you aren't posting for fun, which I mean, I hope it's fun, but I know that we don't have a lot of free time to dedicate to social media and posting just for the heck of it. So we want our people to actually see it, engage with it, find us. It starts before you post. You want to clearly define who who on social media you want to see this. Are they on Instagram? That's the first question you should be asking. Are the types of people I want to reach on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? That needs to kind of be determined before you post any type of content. And then do you have a specific niche with in general that you want your page to be for, or at least this piece of content to be for? Are they in a certain stage of life? Are they going through certain struggles in their journey to buy a home or to sell their house, whether that be downsizing or buying their first home. Like, who are you talking to with this piece of content if there is a specific group? And that will ensure that you are speaking from a place that will make it relatable and engaging. Like, try to put yourself in their shoes. And that matters because keywords matter in social media. So you want to make sure that you're putting in your caption those keywords, those buzzwords for specific people to reach your content. So if you're talking about first-time home buyers or home buying struggles, make sure you're including keywords that would reach those people. And then hooks matter. So your content may be in the feed for people to see, but if they are so bored by it or just scrolling right past it in the first 3 seconds, that matters to the algorithm and it determines how frequently it will be shared, and how many people overall it will reach. So especially for Reels, your hooks matter in those first 3 seconds determine if viewers stay. It matters so much that Instagram actually tracks that as an analytic, how it tracks past 3 seconds, how many people stayed. So open your video, your reel with a clear, intriguing hook, ask a relatable question, make it bold. If you're stuck, something that we always find that works are questions that get the viewer involved because again, people love to have opinions. I posted something, it wasn't related to my business, and sometimes that's okay too. So I want you to know that. But in real estate, you have a lot of options as far as talking about like homes. So it could be as simple as picking picking two different paint colors. I mean, people love to give opinions on that. Upstairs laundry room versus downstairs laundry room, you wouldn't believe the opinions that people have on these topics. Anything home related. Oh, what's another good one I saw recently? It was just on the top of my tongue. If you would rather have, if you can see past, how did they word this? If you can see past bold colors, if you're viewing a home, or if you want it to be painted neutral before you buy it, or if you would want a credit at closing, something like that. Like if it were you, what would you do? That's a very simple, relatable question that you can use as a hook to get people commenting. I should also note that that hook, there should be a hook for both the text on your screen and the caption, because if you want people to get to your caption to read what you want them to do, like contact me, DM me, sign up for my email list, then you have to have another hook in your caption to get them to scroll past the reel itself. And then, which this is what I talk about here. So end with a clear call to action. So if you go through all this effort of creating a reel and it's beautiful and it's relatable and people love it and they're answering questions in the comments, but they don't know what you want them to do with this, then we're not going to get them to the next step of your selling process of working with you. So you have to tell them. Now, in some cases, your reels are just going to be as simple as their purpose is to get engagement. So your call to action may just be comment your answer, share this with a friend who needs to hear this message, save this so you remember who to call when it's time to buy or sell, send me a message if you want to talk more about this topic. Click the link in my bio if you're ready to schedule a buyer's consultation. Whatever your call to action is, you have to let people know what action you want them to take. Otherwise, they're not going to take it. And it has to be as simple as possible. I recommend if you want, if your conversion, if what looks good to you, if you're putting all this effort into social media, you want something out of it, right? So for you, that is new client appointments. Make scheduling an appointment with you so easy to do on social media that people will not click away. So you know how when you go to a website And if it is not clear and obvious how to do the action you came there to do, you're going to bounce. And websites look at bounce rate as negative, right? So, same thing on social media. If they're going to your profile and they can't easily schedule a meeting with you, they're going to click away. So, I recommend people have like a calendar scheduling link in their bio. So if that is for you, what you want people to do, make it easy. If you want them to join your email list, have that link right in your bio so they can click it, put in their information, get your freebie or whatever it may be to join your email list. Okay, sorry, that was a bit of a rabbit trail, but I just wanted you to know that. Encourage dialogue to boost the algorithm reach. So again, anything you can do to get people talking, whether that's in your comments, in your messages, we want to encourage that dialogue. That tells the algorithm that your content is good and that they should send it out to more people. And I already mentioned this, but keywords used to be the focus was just hashtags, like hashtags, everything. We still use hashtags in our strategy because we use them as keywords. People don't search hashtags the way that they used to. If they were looking for like things to do in Indianapolis, they're not necessarily searching that keyword or that, I'm sorry, that hashtag. But now that Google can access your content, categorize it on searches for SEO and keywords, it's important to have those things included in your caption because say someone searches you on Google, your Instagram posts are likely going to show up in that search. So they'll be able to find content that you've created on certain topics, and that's huge. So include those keywords so that people can find you based on the topics you're posting about. Okay. And then I do want to mention some Instagram updates. The biggest one right now, since it's just been in like the last couple of months, they added is the reshares feature on content. So if you go to Instagram and look at your different sections, we'll call them on your profile, you have your main feed, you have your Reels tab, and there should now be, if you have the update, a resh. I guess I keep getting confused if it's reposts or reshares. I think it's reshares. There's a separate tab for it. It basically has well, the icon is two arrows pointing different directions. So that's your reshare tab. Things that you've reshared will show up there. And if your friends or someone have reshared a post that you see in your feed, you will see those little arrows with their profile picture kind of hovering in the corner. If you haven't seen it yet, when you do, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like they have little purple arrows next to their profile picture. So this is just another way that Instagram is giving us for your content to be seen by more people. So basically, if your post, you share your reel, you share your post, whatever it may be, it is given the opportunity to show up in feeds. Initially, your followers' feeds is the first stop for that. If it starts to do really well, they'll put it in more places like people's Explore tab or their Reels feed, things like that. If people see your reel and reshare it, it is it is then put on their feed. It's not in their permanent feed, but it gets put in their followers' feeds. I'm sorry, this is probably a really confusing explanation, but basically, the short version is that any reshare you get is a whole new opportunity for a whole new group of people to see it. So, what we've actually been doing with clients is after we post their reels, whether it be right away or an hour later, a couple days later, we haven't really researched enough to know if there's a specific time that this works better, but we will go and reshare our own reels for the client. Like the client's reel will be reshared because it gives it a whole nother opportunity to show up to their followers who maybe didn't see it in the feed the first time. So it's just another shot at more eyes on your content. And it's very easy. It's one click. So that's why I'm excited about this update. And I think people should take advantage of this update. And it's fun to reshare content so people can see kind of posts that you're interested in, topics that you want to talk about, like things like that. And again, it's just more opportunity to show up and get your name out there. And it's very easy to do. So experiment with the reshare option. I'm loving that one. These screenshots here are just um, visuals of some of the other updates. So there's lots of new fonts, which my biggest recommendation on when it comes to Reels and Stories is just use a readable font. Don't get crazy with the fonts. Classic, Poster, Deco, those are the top three that we always use for clients. We just don't really mess with any of the rest of them because it needs to be easy to read, easy on the eyes, or people will scroll past. Um, there is also the Edits app. So we've started dabbling in it for creating reels for clients. It's not a whole heck of a lot different from just building it in Instagram. So I really just mention that in case, you're advanced and you'd want to try something new. Otherwise, I think you're fine just editing within Instagram. The only thing it does better is saves drafts better. So if you're someone who batches a lot of content, creates several reels at once, that may be something that interests you. Trial reels are something that are fairly new with Instagram. So it gives you the opportunity to post a reel that you've created only to non-followers to kind of see how it does out there in the wild before you share it to people who follow you. So I don't know. We've dabbled with this a little bit. My take on it was it's like if you're shy and you don't want your friends and family to see your content, then you can do it this way to kind of see if it takes off or not. I don't know. We've experimented and haven't seen a huge benefit with it. The one thing we did try was we would share the reel like normal, and then we would save it to our camera roll, create it again, and then post it just as a trial reel, just to try to increase reach. And we found that the trial reel never really did as well as the one we just posted to the feed. So it does give, say you get an extra 300 views on a trial reel, it does give you that extra reach, but are you really seeing anything from it? We didn't find that to be the case. So it could be fun if, again, if you don't want certain people that you know to see your content, then that could be a way around it. Um, Oh yeah, you can also add music to, this isn't really a new feature, but it's something that more people are doing because it's been discovered that if you add audio to your photos or carousels, you have to post them directly in Instagram to do this. But if you do so, it gives you the chance to show up in the Reels tab. I don't know why they formatted it this way, but it's pretty cool because, again, if you spend a lot of time on a piece of content like carousels, then you want more eyes on it. So people just scrolling their Reels tab can now see your carousel posts and swipe through it if it has music. They did change the layout, the sizing for images on or graphics that are posted on Instagram. And I feel like this is important because I still see way too many people posting the wrong size photos and graphics, and it's not helping you at all because the algorithm just doesn't like it. So it's not going to push it out as much. And if you're spending time on content, I want it to go somewhere. So if you're creating something within Canva, for example, this is the new ideal post size 1080 by 1440. If you use a scheduling tool and you crop within the scheduling tool, it's the 3:4 ratio. So I just mentioned that because um, I don't like seeing like the vertical or no, the horizontal graphics, the really long ones, because they're just not going to perform well and they make your feed look weird. Um, it's just it's something that I actually feel does matter and make a difference on Instagram. And then some general best practices when you're creating either of these, really. Quality video is another thing that the algorithm looks at and cares about. So good lighting, um, not posting blurry videos or moving too fast so that it's shaky. Filming in 4K is always, I used to say it's a bonus. Now it's pretty much just like a requirement. and always, always, always in portrait orientation. So up and down. Again, they don't like horizontal stuff on Instagram. So your videos and photos should be taken up and down whenever possible. And trending audio it's not as urgent as it used to be. I guess that's the word to use. Trending audio is the audio with the little arrow next to the name of the song. That means that it's trending. You could probably pick out a couple trending audios just by scrolling your Reels tab. If there's one that you hear a lot, it's probably trending. That's why people are using it. It does give you the opportunity to get a little bit of a boost of reach if you are using a song that a lot of people are using right now, but it's not as make or break as it used to be. So don't let that hold you up. But audio is still great to have on your reels, like your B-roll reels. You obviously want to add that if it's not a one where you're talking to the camera. And then using the timer is a great way to eliminate the excuse of, well, I don't have anybody to take videos for me. You can prop it up against a water bottle or your computer screen or on a tripod. They're $15 on Amazon and use the timer feature to make filming it hands-free. So you're not having to hold it out like selfie mode. Or you can hold it out in selfie mode. It really doesn't matter. Because again, we're trying to be authentic. And sometimes that's just in a parking lot with your laptop waiting for clients to show up, and you just hold your phone out and talk to it for a few seconds. But readable text is still as important as ever. Again, choose your fonts and your colors wisely. We don't need obnoxious um, obnoxious fonts or unreadable colors. I almost said Tucker yellow. I didn't, but I don't want that to be perceived as the Tucker yellow is obnoxious, but you don't need to use the Tucker yellow in your text on Reels. Okay, so I just want to a second. I talk a lot about B-roll, so I just wanted to give you an example and show you what that is. I talk about what that is. So behind the scenes video, essentially, anything that's not the main action is B-roll. So what I like to do is take longer clips. So 15 to 20 seconds minimum. They could be 30 seconds to a minimum or 30 seconds to a minute or even better. Take the longer clips, you can always trim them down so that you can throw up a 10-second reel just like this, like using footage like this, putting text over it. Even if you don't know at the moment what you're going to do with it, I promise you creating reels will be easier if you start stockpiling video like this, because you are in situations probably daily where you could take little clips like this. If you're sitting at your desk right now watching this on your laptop, you have the opportunity to just like, this is it right now. Prop your phone up, take an 8-second clip of you typing or just listening or sipping your drink, you're out of your water bottle or your coffee, whatever. That's your next B-roll clip for real. So anything throughout your day. Um, part of I am a really big football fan, specifically Colts, IU. Love my football team. So when we go to a game, I will take 15, 20-second clips of the field and use that as a B-roll for my reels because it's part of my personal brand at this point is being a Colts fan. So it's literally, it doesn't have to be real estate related is what I'm getting at with this. Not every single clip that I take is related to marketing or something that I'm doing in my marketing job that day. I have clips from the apple orchard with my kids doing the hay ride, um, stuff like that. Whatever you're doing in your day to day, I promise can be used. And that's where making it a habit comes into play because if you are in the habit of just filming everything without even knowing what you're going to do with it, it's better to have more of those clips piled up. So when you do have an idea or you are sitting down to create a week's worth of content, you already have stuff. You don't have to go out and get the video just to be able to post a reel. It gets a lot easier. And I already mentioned this, but always take your photos vertically too, because you can use photos and compile those together for a reel. So it's easier to do if you have them already that way. And I think I mentioned this also, but it's worth saying again because closed captions are really important if you're doing a talking to the camera story or reel. Um, Most people are scrolling with the sound off. So if you want any chance of them not clicking or swiping by, then having those closed captions are really important. And they're easier than ever to add on Instagram because they have auto captions. They may need correcting if they didn't understand a word or two of what you said, but for the most part, it's done for you just by clicking the captions button. So I hope that my point of this was demonstrated that I just want you to keep your reels simple. I'm not here to teach you the hard stuff to make it more difficult for you, but I want, the time that you spend to be worth it for you to see conversions from it. And I want you to actually create, if you're one of those people who just struggles with actually doing it, and I get it because a lot of our clients start that way. Um, I want it to be as simple as possible for you. So the more sounds cliche, but you just have to start. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Um, I don't want to send you on a doom scroll on purpose, but that is a good place to start just to find out what kind of trends are going on right now, find inspiration. Of course, I don't want you to copy what other people are doing, but there's tons of content out there um, to kind of put your own spin on. And don't get stuck in chasing trends. It's not really a strategy, but it is a good place to start and to get you feeling comfortable. So that's why I mentioned that. All right. I actually stayed right within my limit, which is amazing. But if anyone has questions, I can hang out for a minute in the chat. Let me pull this up and see what you guys are doing. As far as reels and stories go. But if you have questions, like I said, I can hang out for 5 minutes or so. So don't hesitate to ask. And Grace is on here too. So if there's anything she can answer, just let us know. And for those of you that don't have questions, thank you for joining this morning. An email will go out about the next topic that we're going to do in October. And we'll probably send out the topics for the rest of the year since we are somehow already almost in the fourth quarter, which is crazy. So be on the lookout for that. As I mentioned, it's typically the second Wednesday or third Wednesday, depending on what's going on that month. Thank you so much for the congratulations. And yes, Jody, I think so. It is recorded, for sure recorded. And Grace, do you send that out to attendees?
So I don't send it out to attendees, but it will be on the Tucker Training YouTube page in a few hours.
Okay, perfect. And you're welcome. Thank you guys for being here. I'm glad.